that? Oh God, I'm gonna die. I gotta get this on camera. No. Hey everybody, welcome to the Marino Show. I'm your host, David Marino. Today we're talking to writer-director Ian Liberatore, the owner of Moving Forward Films. He's going to be working on his latest film, The Final Boy, but his other films include The Revelations of Gavin Grey, its sequel, The Redemption of Ricky Gray, the web series Finding You, and the film All-American Boy. I'm so happy to have you here today, Ian. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you, David. I really appreciate you having me here. It's great talking to you.
So I learned about you because my friend Eileen Sullivan is an actress and she's going to be in your film, The Final Boy. And she was talking to me about the premise and she didn't give too much away, just FYI. But I found it, fascinating and interesting. And I love interviewing indie directors. So first of all, tell me about yourself, where you're based and sort of how you got started in the filmmaking world.
Okay. So my name is Ian. I am in the Philadelphia suburbs. I live in Montgomery County, from Bucks County originally, if anyone knows that area or not. So right near where M. Night Shyamalan has filmed a lot of movies for anyone outside the area. Movies have been my obsession, my hobby, pretty much my entire life. When I was 10 years old, it was my 10th birthday party. My parents took me to go see Jurassic Park for my birthday, 1993. And ever since then, I was just like, I want to be a filmmaker. I have been obsessed with movies, going to movies every weekend. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. I was kind of the youngest of a couple kids, so and they were all a lot older, so I was kind of always by myself a lot. So just watching movies all the time, all different kinds of movies. Going to film school eventually, and I didn't do anything after film school. I kind of went into a different career path, but recently I've been trying to get back into it by starting up my company and making films that I feel like have a good message or are fun, so on and so forth.
And that's the importance of film for me. I mean, you can see all my posters behind me here. I love horror movies, but I love all types of films, especially like in the indie genre. Um, and you know what? Something that you said there resonated with me that, you know, you didn't have a lot of friends. You went, you watched movies. And I really feel like art, whether it's film, music, whatever it is that you're into, is a great escape for people, and it really serves that purpose, and I think it's there to help inspire. So for you, you said Jurassic Park. Was that really where you found your comfort zone, as a kid, just sort of being immersed in film and different types of film? And if so, like what genres spoke to you, if there was a specific genre that you really were into?
I Jurassic Park was, I think, the nail in the head with the I want to be a filmmaker. But I was always into movies growing up, whether it was the animated movies, whether it was Star Wars. I was into movies. Like my parents had a whole bunch of VHS tapes. It recorded off television, whatever's playing on TNT or whatnot there, and I would go through the tapes one by one. Ask my parents, "Can I watch this? Can I watch this? Can I watch this?" And some of them were probably not appropriate for me, but my parents have always kind of given me the chance to see how I do. And for the most part, most of them I was able to handle very well. The only movie that traumatized me a lot as a kid was Poltergeist. But I just love trying new movies. I love trying new things. As for what genre, I think growing up, originally I was more into the action films. Then it turned into more of the horror mystery thriller. that seems to be where where I find the most fun, where the whodunit, the slasher, anything with kind of mystery to it, where it makes the audience think. And at this point, I've watched every, I feel like, mystery horror movie that's come out. So if a movie is still able to make me jump or has tricked me into, I couldn't predict the ending, then I give them applause, because they fooled me. And again, I've been watching horror movies for 30 years, maybe even longer. I know growing up, Nightmare on Elm Street was always a big popular movie in my house with my brother, so I grew up with horror.
So let's talk about The Final Boy, the latest film that you're going to be working on here soon.
Yes.
And I was watching one of your videos on YouTube where you were talking about the film itself, and this is probably it's the biggest budget film for you that you've done so far. Walk me through just the film itself and sort of the process that you've been going through over the last several months, getting ready to start filming.
I actually, honestly, I've been trying to film this movie for years, but because of the budget being so much and it having the biggest cast, um, actually kind of having like a lot of key locations that I just couldn't get, I kept pushing this movie off more and more and more. So I was trying to film it last year. I couldn't get the budget ready. So that's when I shot Redemption of Ricky Gray instead. And I finally just said, all right, as soon as I was done that, I was like, I'm giving myself a year to raise the budget, and I will do whatever I can to get the money um, to do that. So, but I would say a lot of my time has been spent trying to reach out, trying to find investors, and trying to crowdsource and get money, and trying to find ways to raise money. I did 50-50 raffle tickets that was recommended to me by some friends. Trying to sell a lot of our posters, our movies, and trying to do deals with that. Trying to say, hey, if you donate money to this movie, I'll give you a free digital copy. I'll give you signed posters by the cast and crew. So just trying to find ways to do that. And then systemically, like once a month or so, I would take some money and start buying like food and wardrobe and props. So this way, by the time I got to August now, I would have everything. I literally have tons and tons of boxes downstairs, and that's my goal tomorrow, is to go through and make sure I have all the props, all the wardrobe, all the set design, the important stuff that I need, because I'm producing it by myself. Obviously, I have the investors who are executive producers, but I'm the one kind of putting together. I made the schedule, I found the locations, I'm doing the shot list, so I'm doing all of that by myself. I have a great set of crew that's ready to help me on day one, but anything pre-production wise, it's pretty much all on me.
What's the film about, or what can you give away about the film so far?
So the Final Boy, very much like the term, if you know movies, there's always a term of the final girl. So back in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, the girl who always lives at the end of a horror movie is always called the final girl. So I always thought it'd be kind of cool. Well, we do one called the Final Boy. It also being LGBT, and not really having a lot of LGBT horror movies, or horror movies with a lot of LGBT characters that aren't killed off in the first couple minutes. I wanted to kind of do a movie about a group of LGBT characters, and do a horror movie with that. It kind of is a little bit of a slasher. It's a little bit psychological, and it's got a little bit of drama, romance, comedy thrown in there. My goal with this movie was to make a fun movie, what I call a popcorn movie. A lot of my last couple projects were tearjerkers, serious dramas, and I wanted someone to walk out of the movie and not be upset or sad. I just wanted to say that was fun. That was a great 2 hours. Can't wait to watch it again, or can't wait to show somebody else. It's got that Who Done It feature. One of my favorite horror movies of all time is the first Scream. And when you watch this movie, you'll see that I do have a couple references to Scream as an honor to Wes Craven, Kevin Williamson, who wrote it. But I would say, in a nutshell, which I'll pretty much give you the details that I put on IMDb, is after the a tragic death of a friend in the very beginning of the film, a group of friends decide to honor their deceased friend by going to a cabin and spreading his ashes and spending like a weekend together, because they kind of had fallen apart as friends, and that let's bring this back together. And then one by one, these friends are being killed off by something or someone. Other characters are introduced, like the neighbors, the sheriff. There's the mom of the first victim. So it's, again, it's a lot of who done it or what's going on. I even allude to, is it the ghost of the person who died in the very beginning? So that's where I was kind of going with that. I was trying to throw a little bit of everything in there, and in hopes that it creates an entertaining piece.
Once you experience trauma, the mind goes into self-preservation, always staying on high alert, as if danger could return at any moment. I tried to run away from my past, but it was inevitable that my demons would eventually return. But how can I stand up for myself when I can't tell what's real from what's only in my mind? I just have to decide when enough is enough and fight back.
That's going to be a lot of fun because it has, like you said, the horror element, but then the suspense element as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. When are you hoping to have it, all done, shot, edited sometime next year? Or
Yeah, so I have always had a bad habit of trying to rush my editing because I want to get the movie out. Because the best part of making movies is the release day. I take it to a theater. I do a premiere for the cast, crew, family, friends, and seeing the movie up on the big screen for the first time is the best part. Is the best part about filmmaking. Seeing everyone's reactions. I love sitting in the back and just watching and listening for the reactions. So that's what I cannot wait for. But I've always rushed the editing, and every time I'm watching, it's like, oh, I wish I'd done this differently. I wish I'd done this differently. So I made the promise to my husband that I would give myself about a year. So filming will be done at the end of this month. September, I will start post production. And my goal is to try to have it done by next summer, but give myself a little leeway. And then I'm going to be doing a premiere in late September, early October of 2025. So around that Halloween fallish time, where I think it's appropriate to release a movie like that. If the movie is done early and I feel happy with it, I might do some film festivals prior. But the first premiere will not be until probably, I'm going to say, September, October next year.
reading about you and reading about your film company, Moving Forward Films, you really do make it a point to say on there that you are trying to represent, characters in the LGBTQ plus community. Obviously, that's important. Are you like, how do you feel about the current state of film and television when it comes to characters in the queer community? Do you feel like, I know that we've come a long way from where we were, but do you still feel like maybe sometimes there's a lot of stereotype connected to the character instead of just, yes, they're gay or lesbian or trans or whatever they are, but they're just a character and that's not like it, that's like a non-issue? Do you still find that to be like frustrating sometimes, or what goes through your mind as a director being in the community, when you're making these films and trying to showcase these characters?
Well, kind of going back to what you said earlier about like it's better now than it was before. The reason why I started this company and I started my first film, I started writing it in 2017. And one of the things was my husband and I were flipping through the TV trying to find a movie about two guys, romance, drama, something like that. There and there we don't have a lot of option. Yes, there's a lot of indie films which are great. So like finding them is kind of hard sometimes, but nothing mainstream, nothing Hollywood. So that's why I kind of made that mission statement that I wanted to make movies based on LGBT plus characters or a story. Um, Going back to the second half of your question about the stereotypes, yes, back 10, 20 years ago, it was nothing but the stereotypes. I think it's gotten better. It's not fully 100%. I do still see some of the stereotypes out there, but I still think we've come a long way to a point where um, I don't feel like we're fighting. We don't need to fight as hard for representation. I think there's been a lot. Now, without being political, I do know there's a lot of backlash on woke material and all that there, and but I think continuing with what we're doing is great with LGBT representation, as well as a person of color and female and every other kind of representation that we can possibly get out there. We've definitely come a long way, but we're not. We still have battle to go.
And your other films, some of them focus on those types of issues as well. You mentioned the Revelations of Gavin Grey, and then the sequel, The Redemption of Ricky Grey. Tell me about those films and what the plot is, and how you came to kind of get those done and come up with that idea.
So the first one, Revelations of Gavin Grey, was a story that I've been wanting to tell for a while, and that was I started writing it out, and I'm like, there is no way that I could afford this on my own budget or even crowdfunding, because I had so much going on that I decided to make it into a short film, and then it became so popular. I was like, all right, let me do some other chapters. Um, but my idea for Revelations of Gavin Grey is in a world where everybody is gay or lesbian and being straight is not normal. So that's where it kind of starts out. And you figure it out within the first couple minutes of the film, so I'm not really giving away a lot.
Gavin.
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 I have a secret to tell you, and I'm sure it's not one you saw coming.
Mom, where would I go?
Is it true?
Don't call here again.
Was I not supposed to say anything? I'm sorry.
But it focuses pretty much on a dinner with a family. So you have a lesbian couple who've got two sons, and their oldest son, Gavin, who's high school age, has a girl over, and they think, oh, they're just friends, and it turns out that that they're boyfriend girlfriend. So really, my two main characters are actually straight, but it's still an LGBT story. Um, and throughout the course of this dinner, more information's coming out. It kind of gets a little suspenseful and intense, and the secret comes out that he is straight. And then the same thing as today's society. Like, you have the one parent that supports it, the one parent who's against it, and it kind of just flips the shoe for somebody who might be heterosexual and not understand the LGBT community. And I kind of throw it on the other foot. Like, should we be mad because you're straight? No, that's just who you are and how you were born. So I wanted people to put their thinking caps on with it. And I got a lot of great feedback. I put it up on YouTube. I got a lot of great feedback. A lot of people were like, oh, I'm going to show my parents this. I want to show this to my kids. I want them to understand. So it made me feel real happy. And I think out of all the projects I've ever done, I think that's the one I'm the most proud of. So I decided that I wanted to continue the story because some people ask questions like, in this world, how do you have kids? And whatever happened to some of the characters afterwards? So I made the sequel, Redemption of Ricky Grey, which is based 6 months after Revelations of Gavin Grey, and it focuses now on the younger brother and kind of what he goes through after his brother came out, and now he's being teased. Oh, you have the straight brother. He's going to turn you straight too. And kind of dealing with some of those issues as well. There's some other issues, but I don't want to go into detail unless you watch it.
My name is Ricky Grey, and it's been 6 months since that unforgettable dinner where we learned that my brother Gavin was a heterosexual. Something that is not accepted in our world. That same night, Gavin...
But that's kind of where I went with the sequel. And then I secretly have actually shot a third part, which is going to be called Reclamation of Alice and Olivia Grey, which is now focusing on the mothers, which is based 1 year after Redemption of Ricky Grey. So I'm going to go through the entire family and how each individual is dealing with these issues.
That's such a unique concept, and it really is turning it on its head and providing like an example to the heterosexual, community of, well, this is what it feels like, if the tables turn. That's very unique and creative. In terms of your web series Finding You, what is that about, and how can people watch it?
So a lot of my stuff is on YouTube. Some of it is also on Amazon. But going back to Finding You, which is a 10-episode web series, it is actually loosely based on my husband and I and how we first met. I'm the filmmaker. I love movies. My husband loves movies, but he's not a filmmaker. But he's always joined me on my filmmaking escapades with my other movies. And we kind of talked about doing a project together, because he would come in and he would have ideas, and sometimes they would work out, sometimes they didn't work out. So we kind of sat down and said, well, let's do a project together. So we decided to do a short film based on the night that we first met. And we loved it so much, and we had so much fun doing it, that we said, let's actually turn this into a series. So we were like, oh, maybe 5 episodes, maybe 10 episodes, and we actually went up to 10 episodes. The first 9 episodes are available on Amazon. They refused to release the last episode and never gave me a reason why. So I had to release the 10th episode on YouTube, and I decided to release all 10 on YouTube. So you can watch all 10 episodes there. It's pretty much, it follows, I'd say, the first year, not even year, probably less than a year of us dating, and the struggles when we first started dating, and things that happened, and family and friends. But I'd say it's about 75% based on us. We had to change a few things. We either lost locations and couldn't go back, because we filmed 1 episode at a time. So we had like a place that was supposed to be Jonathan's home, but then 2 months later we were going to try to go back to her, and we couldn't go back there. So we had to create a whole other location, and why are they at this location now? So we had to change a couple of things up, and obviously to protect privacy from some people, we changed names and some aspects, and also just creating the story into individual 20-minute episodes. Some of the timeline had to be changed around a little bit, but it's about 75% based off of our relationship. But we had a lot of fun filming it, and I think it took us, I'm going to say, I'd say about a year to film the whole thing, because we would film an episode, about 2-3 months later we would film another episode. Sometimes we were able to do a couple back to back, but I'd say about a year and a half to film the whole thing.
Last party you made out with the host.
It was a drinking game, Shane. I had to.
Please, if you actually care about me, you will not get out of control tonight.
Why can't we just stay here and do something together, you and I?
Because all we're gonna do is watch TV and you'll be on your phone the whole time. Hi, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Shane. Nice to meet you.
I'd say by episode 3, we had a good handful of followers, and we were crowdfunding every episode. That I would say, literally the last 5 episodes were all crowdfunded. I would say by fans, or maybe 80% of it was crowdfunded by fans that I've never met before. That started watching the series from episode 1. They're like, "Oh, I can't wait for the series to continue. I want more episodes. Here's money. Here's $20. Here's $25." I even had an executive producer who pretty much funded the entire last 2 episodes with how much money he gave.
Wow.
So it's just been an incredible experience. And from there, that's where I got again, a fan base for Gavin Grey and Ricky Gray, and even for Final Boy coming up. Like, I have, again, a nice little fan base out there, and some of them who even live locally have been an extra or again donated, been a producer kind of thing. So it's been a wonderful experience. Finding you definitely put us on the market. I constantly still get people on YouTube reviewing, saying, please make another series, please make another season, please do something more like this. So I've been wanting to do a horror movie for a very, very long time. But I'm thinking maybe after the horror movie, I might go back and try doing a romantic comedy or something like that, because I've never done comedy before. So I might try something like that, because again, I want to keep trying different things. I will say, if I ever were to do a web series again, and I'm sorry if I'm giving long answers, but if I were to ever do a web series again, I would try to film it more back to back, so that I don't have those issues of losing locations or an actor changing his hairstyle 6 months later. Because again, we filmed it for about a year and a half. So some of the things that we kind of ran into that we had no control over. But if I were to do a web series, I would probably do that. I would try to film it all back to back.
And then you also had one of your, I think you said it was your second film, All American Boy, and I saw some coverage on that as well. Tell our viewers about that film and what the premise is for it.
So All American Boy was my second film. It was a much darker film and a lot more emotional. Um, Essentially, you have this high schooler, or actually, well, now he's in college, but he was like in high school. He was like the top basketball player, the class president. He was the popular kid, but he knew deep down that he was gay, but felt like he couldn't come out because he had so many people that looked up to him. But he always had a crush on this other person on his team. And when he came home for his first summer break from college, the friends kind of got together, and he kind of wants to start something with this old friend of his. And then when they get alone, an event happens, and without going into too much detail, the main character is sexually assaulted and then blackmailed, and it's kind of, the movie then goes into a much darker tone. Everyone pretty much said on page 35 of the script that I had a messed up head, because it looked like a cute little romantic movie until page 35 of the script, and next thing you know, there's sexual assault and blackmailing and abuse and physical violence. And the story completely does a 180 and goes in a different direction that nobody was expecting. And it's that character dealing with coming out and the blackmailing and what is his friends going to think of him, till eventually he gets to a breaking point where he goes, I don't care. Everybody knowing is better than what I'm feeling. And then everyone winds up supporting him, and the person who blackmailed him, sexually assaulted him, is in a way kind of taken down.